and welcome to MA Service Design. My name is Dr. Hannah Ali, and I'm the course leader for the MA Service Design, the event that you're here to attend. My area of research and practice is design for social innovation. My previous background is communication design, and I'm also, in my professional practice, I'm also an innovation consultant at InfoBridge Global Limited, which is a software and tech indenting organization, and it provides products and tech solutions to organizations around the globe. My role in the company is devising transformative systems and services around the products that the organization supplies. This is all for now, and if you need to know anything more, you can always Google my name and you'll find out more about my area of practice and research. So today I welcome you to the open day for MS Service Design. Service design is a human-centered design discipline. This is how we like to approach it. And we explore human and more than human, non-human systems, which focuses on designing services in the public and the private sector, working in participative, iterative, participative, and qualitative manner with all the stakeholders, and considering wider service ecosystems at play. So ecosystems become a very important aspect within the designing of services that we approach here in LCC at MS Service Design. So this course is structured to guide you to the understanding and practice of service design from current challenges at the local and user scale before progressing through to futures and systems levels. So what this means is that by applying service design to a range of societal and business challenges, this course will enable you to work on live projects. When we say live projects, it means projects which are designed in collaboration and in partnerships with strategically positioned organizations which are multidisciplinary, with experts across multiple disciplines, and use design at a strategic level. So this course is structured to guide you through the understanding and practice of service design, starting from current challenges at the local and user scale, like as I said before, and then also going to the more global systemic and systematic approach to design. So again, kind of thinking about how do you approach the idea of service design, and what will you be learning on the course, and what are the process and methods that we engage teaching such a creative field using creative methods. So first of all, we kind of think about what disciplines and skills does the course teach. So we think looking at live projects, we're looking at stakeholders within specific ecosystems, and we think about how the services that are existing can be upgraded or re-innovated to better fit what is required of the services and the systems. At the same time, we innovate new services, which means that what are the new technological aspects that need to be added, what are the new technological advancements that are happening around us, and how do we bring all of that into the course, into the teaching. So we call this course an industry focused or an externally focused course, which means that we bring in experts from different fields, we bring in organizations working in different sectors. It could be the corporate sector, it can be the social sector, to come and work with the students on different design briefs, solving complex problems. So even if we're approaching organizational design or a corporate design, we're approaching it from a more socially orientated aspect, looking at it from a human-centered perspective. As we teach through live projects, we focus on collaboration in services with public and private sectors. So this means that the majority of the projects are live and taught with involvement of multi-partners, clients, experts, and stakeholders. We are one of the few courses in the world which were one of the first ones. So, and also the way our teaching methodologies are extremely innovative and creative, because the whole team that teaches MA Service Design also has their own professional practices, and we also bring in our networks and our professional practice into developing creative design briefs and into creating these partnerships with external organizations, so that we are relevant and we are current with what's happening in the industry and what is the requirement of the industry from these young designers when they graduate from the course. So again, we value making and design-based methods throughout the design process, and we bring in our partners and stakeholders and organization into this creative space to engage with different ways of working, breaking typical processes, disrupting and kind of creating innovation within this disruptive and innovative space. So we like to focus on the idea of design for change. So we feel that design can be a very strong tool for change, any kind of change, social change, organizational change, changing the world. But again, we also do understand that it's not rocket science, so it has to be strategically approached. It has to be contextually re-innovated and positioned, and design and service design is one discipline that is extremely flexible, that is extremely malleable, which fits the context, and which also kind of identifies with what is happening around the world and how can design be a source of social change within this specific discipline as a process. So who studies MA Service Design? Now, if you're curious about, or if you're looking at the subject for the first time, I'm sure you've done your research. I'm sure you probably have some of you might have some prior experience of working in services. So what exactly is service design? We see a lot of questions about who studies the course, who are the prospective students, how they want to understand that, what is the profile or what are the kind of students we're looking for that are relevant to the course or that are in a way resonant with the course. So again, for us, it's a completely open space. We're looking for people who want to change careers. We're looking for students who are interested in the course and exploring possible futures, or exploring, design applications in a completely different way. We are extremely interested in diversity. When we say diversity, it means we're interested in global diversity, people coming from different regions, and we believe in diversity because we feel diversity is not only where you're from, but diversity is bringing in diverse voices, diverse perspective, different ways of doing things, and understanding how design can be applicable in different contexts, how design can bring in so many voices together to create something that fits the most. I'm not going to claim fits all, but fits the most, which is kind of built on the principles of equity, which is kind of built on the principles of democracy, which is built on the principles of human benefits, as well as ecological understanding of how we impact the environment that we are occupying. So again, kind of coming back to the course, who studies service design, we've got always a diverse group of students that we welcome. They may come from different disciplinary backgrounds. We have people from psychology, we have students who come from science backgrounds, we have students who come from design backgrounds, yes, of course, different design backgrounds. Sometimes we have students coming from English literature background. So again, we welcome everyone on the course, everyone who has this quest of knowledge and who has curiosity and who has these ideas around how creativity can be engaged to impact the world in a positive way. We also kind of look for, in the students, we're also looking for proactivity, we're looking for independence, because this is an MA course. So there's a lot of independent study on the course. So we look for professionalism and maturity and independence in the students who are coming to join us here. Master's level studies, coming down to the idea of what master's level studies actually means, is that it is primarily self-directed. So many opportunities are in and outside the curriculum. So for example, we have units that run throughout the 18 months, but at the same time outside, and you're doing projects. So students who join us, they're doing projects on specific design briefs that are developed with project partners. But at the same time, we also have extracurricular activities. We have extracurricular projects that are happening, and the students have a choice to engage on those projects as well. Those are also live projects with real world industry partnerships. And what this provides the students with is, whilst they are in education, they're able to develop professional portfolios by the time they graduate. And this also has a very positive impact on employability of this course. So most of our students are employed within the 2 months of graduation, if not before, and we have a very good employability rate in the industry. We also approach this course as building a community. So once you join the course and once you graduate, we keep in touch. We have a huge Slack channel where we kind of keep adding our graduates, and we stay in touch. So we have a very strong sense of community, and we call it the MA Service Design at LCC community. I will talk a little bit about it towards the end. So I think at this point, it's also good to point out what the student learning experience on the course is like. So as the University of the Arts London has been proactive in responding to government guidance, health and safety of students and staff will always be a priority. So we have a lot of mix of on-campus and online activities where we offer one-to-one tutorials. There are lots of creative workshops because the staff and the students are coming from diverse creative backgrounds. So it's a very, you can say, a buzzy space where we're creating different methods, we are prototyping, we are at the same time testing and evaluating strategies, products, systems, and it's a very, you can say, active space. So, and the teaching kind of responds to these requirements where we're keeping creativity at the heart of what everything is being done. We're looking at disruptive methods. We're looking at how we can challenge the status quo. So the staff and the students are encouraged to keep the studio spaces as very vibrant, and the staff, of course, coming from these kind of backgrounds, coming from multidisciplinary creative backgrounds, bring in their knowledge, bring in their own professional practices in the studio to open these different innovative spaces for the students to experiment in. We are in studio teaching, so we are in person. The contact time is 1-to-1, and we are no longer hybrid. So the teaching methods are in studio, in person teaching methods. One of the key aspects of this course is collaboration. So the question about how do the students on this course work with the others. We work with other students. UAL consists of 6 different colleges. The students have a chance to reach out and collaborate with other students through different courses and modules. The students can also kind of do a skill exchange. So for example, if you're coming from an English literature background and you're developing a visual report, you can collaborate with a student on data visualization masters. And at the same time, you can support that student in doing whatever you can help them with. So how does this really reflects in a real world working environment on the course is that it's more about internal collaboration at this particular point in time. So we're looking at students to collaborate with other students on the courses, but at the same time, we also build a culture of collaboration on the course amongst the cohort that joins the MA. So for example, students for the first 4 months, the students work completely in teams. It's about building this, you can say, support dynamic on the course, because we do not condone competitiveness, we condone support and collaboration on the course. So again, at the same time, UAL's postgrad community is huge. LCC's postgraduate hub is a very busy and active space where the students can connect with other students on other courses in the college, and also students who are studying in different colleges. We have very close connections with the industry, which impacts our employability, student employability rate very positively. So it is very important to highlight that we work with industry partners in a way where we co-design briefs, project briefs that the students work on. We work with all the organizations that you see on the screen. We have you can say some organizations which we call the friends of the course, who come in, they deliver workshops, they deliver lectures. We go to their spaces and we work with them on different projects. When I say we, that means students get a chance to do that. And also we have visiting lecturers who come from around the world. And this is how the industry shapes the content of the course content, which is delivered to the students. We work with live briefs, which are set by or with the industry, which means that the tutor and the industry partner co-designs that brief, and then the brief is delivered through the support of the industry partner and the tutor and the course team. One of the biggest positives that we have is that we're based in a very exciting space, which is London. So again, there are huge networking opportunities. London is kind of a creative center of the world. We all kind of know this. And here at MS Service Design, we take full advantage of it. So we invite a lot of scholars. We invite a lot of practitioners. We also invite a lot of, you can say, global thought leaders to come and talk to the students at LCC. And our MA is at the forefront of these events and these organizations. We also have LCC graduate residency programs and industry mentorship programs, where mentors from around the world sign up to support the students, and the students can take advantage of these opportunities at any time. All the details about the graduate residency program and industry mentorship are available on the website. Now, research. So we have a very strong research background as well here at the MA Service Design. The staff profiles are very strong in research and in practice. So it's a very good blend of practice and research. The staff works on hugely funded projects around the globe, come from different expertise, and all of this expertise plays a very important role in the learning space that's created on the MA. So the percentage of research and practical work in a way is, you can say, depending on the requirement of the brief, is almost equal, or sometimes 40-60%, or you can say 60-40%. But again, the main idea is for the course to be interactive with the relevant research centers, where students can get an opportunity to take part in different kinds of research projects that are happening around the globe. We also have PhD opportunities. So many of our students go on after the MA, go on to develop their major project into a PhD proposal, and we provide complete support to these students on the course to come and do their PhDs with us. We also use archives and special collections, because one of the biggest advantages that the MA has is that we are part of a very rich and active creator community at UAL. So all the UAL colleges have facilities and libraries, and anyone who's studying on the MA with us has free access to these spaces all around London. So you have your choice of libraries, you have your choice of campuses, and you can go anywhere and work, except for the making spaces and the workshops. I'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later on. We have the core, we have just kind of, and we're very excited about it, is put together Service Futures Lab, which is led by Professor Alison Pendlebury, Dr. Sylvia Grimaldi, and Dr. Lara Salinas, and then the rest of the team and members from other courses, tutors from other courses are also part of the Service Futures Lab. So the Service Futures Lab, how it's important is that it also opens up project opportunities for the students. As earlier pointed out, this course is completely practice-led. This course is completely industry-focused. So we use these different spaces, these opportunities to bring in industry partners, research partners, to be relevant with the research centers at UAL, and also kind of bringing in opportunities for the students to engage with organizations and projects outside the course curriculum as well. Moving on from how these opportunities are provided to the idea of student work. So this is about understanding like who takes the course, what are the different types of projects that we do, what are the opportunities that you have to showcase your work through physical and online exhibitions, and also kind of how do you disseminate or communicate your work to the world. So we, again, coming from being in a creative space gives us this flexibility or this openness to experiment. So MA is the time for you to kind of push the boundaries, experiment as much as you can. So we have a diverse range of courses, but again, we like to emphasize that we engage with complex issues, problems, and projects. So where solving complexity in itself becomes a challenge. Why we need to do this is because if you are able to solve a complex project, then you are able to do anything. So we've got a list of student projects, which if you go to LCC Showcase 2022, you'll be able to look at some of the projects. I'd like to show a few projects here from the previous years. I'm going to talk about one project, which is the Amber Rusk project called the Big Issue Podcast. So this project was about providing employability opportunities to people who are defined as homeless here in London. And this project was developed in collaboration with Big Issue, and the solution that was developed, or the project artifact that was developed, was how a service system that helps people who are selling Big Issue to be able to take payments, and to this payment can be added on to their savings. So the whole point was, after a lot of research, after a lot of mapping, scoping, experimentation, and workshops with different stakeholders on this project, the student identified an opportunity that one of the biggest gaps that have been identified is that people do not engage with selling Big Issue on the streets of London is because they do not have bank accounts or they do not have payment methods, and therefore this opportunity is taken away from them. So in response to this opportunity, the student devised a whole service system that would help bring the finances or payments from one place to a specific safe place for the homeless in London. So you can take a look at the research. All these links are live on the website. And if you need to know anything more about these projects, please do write to me. We had a very successful degree show last year. So the degree show is usually a very bittersweet time for us because it is a celebration of the students' time at the MA, but it is also the time when they're leaving us. And as we become a very close-knit community during the course, and then later on we always stay in touch, it's very nostalgic for me to even think about it now. So I'll be showing you the video at the end of this presentation about last year's students' final major projects, the kind of work they did. And also the dynamic of the MA, because I think it's very interesting to see not only the kind of work that's been done, but also the kind of space that you'll be occupying, because we approach learning quite holistically. So we're not only looking at teaching and learning as an academic prospect only, but we also kind of think about it as a holistic space that nurtures your creativity, that nurtures your innovation, and then that helps you identify how to critically analyze, synthesize, develop, prototype, and deliver a project whilst you are in this dynamic creative space. So again, for the process that we follow in the MA is that these opportunities to provide these opportunities to the students to research, to co-discover, to co-design, and then also how to showcase their work in physical and in online exhibition. So we use mapping and understanding and communicating in a collaboration with our industry partners and organizations. We also kind of bring in lots of speaker professionals, practitioners to come and work with the students. When the students are working on specific projects with specific briefs, we set up these co-design spaces and co-discovery spaces for the students to actually work with people they're designing for. So the whole idea of MA service design is not designing for people, but designing with people, where the stakeholders who are working with the students become the creative resource in a way, where students become the facilitators and the stakeholders of the projects are actually the knowledge experts that inform the design process and what needs to be designed for it to be relevant and valuable to them. We also work in speculative design. We work with design futures. We are at the forefront of breaking boundaries and also challenging the status quo around globally, and then we experiment locally with the ideas and strategies that are designed, and the work is then showed and shared usually through online exhibitions again and through physical exhibitions at LCC. We are also kind of when we talk about speculative design, we think about the timetable that we design. So this is what a regular timetable looks like. This is how the units are positioned throughout the 18 months that you'll be with us. But again, thinking about the futures, each course each year is re-innovated, updated, and is relevant to what are the relevant and what are the current debates happening around the world, what are the current issues that the world is facing, what are the current problems that are out there, called the wicked problems, unsolvable, very complex, and all of that knowledge, due to the tutor team being researchers and practitioners, is brought into the teaching and learning of the course, and the timetable is also designed in response to these ideas. So excuse me. So what a typical year looks like is we start with a user-centered project and a ways of working project, which is ways of working is a 20 credit project. It is 6 to 8 weeks long, and user-centered project is a 40 credit project. So user-centered project starts from October till end of January. Ways of working starts from October till end of November. These projects, we are right now at this very point in time putting together briefs for these projects and designing them with partners. So again, the project briefs take a lot of time in setting up partnerships, in setting up expectations and designing of the brief. So by the time the brief gets to the students, it has almost 4 to 5 months of work behind it. And that's where the students start working on the brief. Then we have collaborative unit in the second term, and design futures that starts in the second term, which is from January to end of March. Design future continues on to term 3, and it ends April end, where we start on your final project dissertation. So project development is the time that's end of April to end of June, where you're working on simply developing your project proposals. Your main focus is project proposal. And then you go on to your major project, that is the dissertation, that goes over summer, and submission is in November. One thing that I always point out when I'm talking about these units is that each unit usually consists of 1 or 2 projects. These are live projects, these are mostly industry projects, and they go on your CV as professional projects. So the whole idea of thinking about the future is that when we're trying to make sure that when our students graduate, they have extracurricular projects alongside, but their unit projects are also professional projects that can be stated on their CVs as professional projects. And of course, that has a huge positive impact on our employability rate, because most of our students get employed within 1 month to 6 months of time. We usually have full employment. Going on to the facilities. Now, again, the advantages of being at LCC and also the advantages of being at UAL, all these 6 colleges all around London, and you have access to it. So LCC specifically has excellent course specific and college-wide facilities. So the spaces listed here are open to all students for free to be used after induction. So when students come in, they're inducted to all these different spaces, and then the students can use these spaces as they feel it fits into their projects. There are some technical spaces require inductions before being able to use them, but most of the spaces, for example, the library spaces, we do provide inductions, but you can go in and explore on your own if you want to as well. We have amazing gallery spaces. My favorite is Canteen and Typo Cafe because it's got really good coffee. You have the 3D workshop, creative technology lab, the kit room, photography studio, printing, finishing, printmaking, and the place. One of the most interesting things that I find in these facilities is that you get to meet so many students from other courses as well. So for example, if you're doing a photo shoot in a studio, you're working on a 3D printing idea, there will be someone else from another course doing something else within using that particular medium. So it does become a very interesting space of knowledge exchange and idea exchange. Lots of friendships also spruce up, and lots of collaborative projects also spruce up from there. Now, academic expertise. So your tutor team, here I'd like to talk specifically about your tutor team, and then also the wider academic, you can say, space here at LCC. So LCC has researchers who are professionals and who are also practitioners. For example, like I run my own design consultancy. We have other tutors who have their own specific expertise, and they have their own design consultancies. The tutor team is primarily in different areas of design for social innovation, design for complexity, design for AI ethics, prototyping, making, narrativity. You can look up the expertise, and all these expertise kind of, you can say, support knowledge extension, where we collaborate on projects together as well, in which we involve the students. And it just kind of creates a very interesting culture of research practice and diversity of knowledge. So we're very, in a way, proud of how different disciplines, or you can say different expertise, create this multidisciplinary or an interdisciplinary space for students to work in. Again, as I say, we are active researchers, professionals, and practitioners. So there's a lot of relevant knowledge coming in from conferences. That's why the course is always at the forefront of the field, because the researchers and the tutor team brings in that knowledge by attending conferences, by setting up seminars, by setting up panels. We have public panels. We have designed public panels around climate change, about future of service design, which we will be opening up April onwards. It's open to all, so please keep an eye on the website and do sign up for it so that you can kind of experience the culture and the dynamics of how the MA progresses and how students and the tutor team engages not only with the only teaching on the MA, but also the huge culture of design innovation. So this image is from Dr. Lala Salinas, and Marion at the service served as conference in Glasgow, where they met up with our alumni. And again, it was in a way kind of felt dominated by MA service design, because lots of our alumni were also attending the conference or presenting at the conference and taking forward the ethos that we have at the course and sharing it with the world. So now a very important question. Where do our graduate students work? So again, like as I pointed out earlier, we offer an extremely diverse range of complex projects to the students to in a way solve. When I'm teaching a class, I really like to call myself the design detective, where the brief that's been given is not really the brief. You had to unpack the brief, you have to decode the brief, and you have to actually identify what is the real problem. Is the real problem what the brief is pointing out, or can we go even deeper and identify something else that impacts the problem to be solved through service design? So again, our students get picked up very quickly by the industry. At the same time, we have a lot of industry, you can say industry friends or friends of the course, where students go for their graduate jobs as well. So these are some of the boxes. The Unbox is one of the very popular organizations that our students go to, but these are only some of the names where the students have employment. We have students now working in the government. We have students who are now working in banks. We've got students who are working in refugee organizations. We have students who are working with the UK border. So again, the whole idea of introducing diverse projects and complex project means that it opens up the employability space and open up the choices for the students to reach out to. Industry mentoring scheme. So we have a very, LCC has a very strong industry mentoring scheme where mentors from around the world sign up, and the students can simply reach out. They can sign up to the scheme, and there will be assigned a mentor, and that mentor throughout their student life will be guiding them and, you know, kind of advising them and identifying specific areas for them to engage with for their better professional development. Now, applications. So we have, if you'd like, if you are aiming to apply for the course, these are the things we are looking for. These are the things documents that you need to send in. So again, you have to send in your personal details. You have to send in your current and previous education, qualification, employment history. If you have an employment history, a personal statement which we read, a portfolio that we take a lot of time to look at, and a study proposal. Again, the study proposal is of course speculative, but what would you like to do? So the whole point is we need to understand that what are your ambitions for the future, and then how do you see this course helping you get there? What do you expect to learn on the course? And also, are you a good fit for the course or not with the course's ethos? So for example, we do not believe in competitiveness, so we believe in collaboration. We believe in supporting each other. We believe in social innovation and also complex projects, because I think, again, because if you learn to understand, or if you learn to solve complexity to the extent of devising a service system that impacts it in a positive manner, then you can do any job related to service design. So application deadline, the first one has passed, the second one is 13th April 2022-23. And for more information on making an application, in particular your personal statement and portfolio advice, you can visit each course page and look under how to apply. Again, what we are looking for now. So again, when we're looking at, we get the number of applications that we get for the course. We are a small course, so the the number of students that we have on the course is not huge because it's a very personalized course. So we want to give our students personal attention, one-to-one tutorials, a lot more contact time than a student would have if the course was like hundreds of students, and also an opportunity to engage with the networks on a more personal level, on a more one-to-one level. So we try. So the cohort is not that big, and we get an immense amount of applications. So it is, in a way, getting on the course does become slightly more challenging. So I think this slide, in a way, is always included because it kind of gives you, clarifies to you an understanding of what are the expectations we have, and then how do you format your portfolio or your statements accordingly. So for example, an understanding of an interest in service design. So we don't expect you to know everything when you come on the course, because then what will we do, right? So we need to teach you something as well. But then what is your understanding? There's no right and wrong answer, but what is your understanding and interest in service design? Also, what have you explored service design methods, and how do they shape the projects, or how do they work? Also, have you worked in teams? Again, we are a lot about collaboration, teamwork, and support. We like interdisciplinary because then interdisciplinarity creates new things and innovations. Also, have you engaged with research? Have you worked with people directly? What kind of data you've collected? The primary data, what are the processes and methods you've used? Also, good spoken and written English. I mean, there's a level that we need you to be at because it's a master's course, and there's a lot of report writing, so which requires you to be able to engage with the language in a manner at a professional level. And also focus on the process rather than outputs in the portfolio. So again, remember, quantity is not the key, quality is the key. This doesn't mean just send in one project, because we need to see diverse projects and different projects as well. But this also means please do not send in 10 projects. So just remember that. So quantity and quality. So what would work better? And then if you're sending in quality, how would you demonstrate your skills through the kind of projects that you are sending in? So think about skills, think about thinking, and then also think about process. We also have applicants from other backgrounds. So for example, anthropology, HR, marketing, English literature, science. At this very moment, we have a graduate, we have a business graduate who's studying MA service design with us. So again, it's always good to have some experience of working in a design team, and also transferable skills from your own discipline. I'm mindful of the time. Yeah, so projects you worked on, so portfolio, what is your portfolio? So again, like I said, not quantity, but quality projects you work on, engagement with professional experience, for example, and for non-design background, projects you were involved in, or some speculative projects, some projects that you've done on your own, just to show a little bit of what kind of skills you have. Again, study proposal, we want to know what you are passionate about. So you can talk about a passion project. It can be a real project, it can be a speculative project, it can be completely an outer space project. We are looking for creativity in your research proposal. Personal statement is about you, who you are as a person. Who do you see yourself as a designer? Why do you want to study this MA? And then also be very particular about why MA at LCC, because we have a very specific portfolio and a very specific ethos and a very specific motto that we want to take forward with the social innovation and solving complexity and impacting the world in a positive way. And also, what is your previous experience that would relate to the selection criteria? We always get questions about scholarships and funding. So UL offers a wide range of scholarships, bursaries and awards, and hardship funds provided through generous donations from individuals and companies and charities. So you will find all the details regarding the funds on the university website. And now any questions for me, I'm happy to answer. But before we go into questions, just think about the kind of questions you have in mind and you can drop them in the chat. I would like you to look at our recent video of the graduate show where students talk about service design, because it's kind of a window into the working dynamic of the course. Bear with me.
No, then you should not.
Hello, yes, thank you so much, Hannah, for that really informative and incredibly interesting presentation. From now on, I'm going to call you the design detective. Everyone who's still here, thank you very much for attending. My name's John, I'm from the recruitment team, and I've just been keeping an eye on the questions. And so I will go through those and direct them to Hannah. We do have a limited amount of time, but if you have any more, please do pop them in the question tab on here and we'll do our best to go through them. Some of them might be a little bit of an overlap, Hannah, but yeah, if you can just fill us in with as much detail as you think is appropriate, that would be incredible. So the first question, hi Hannah, thank you for the intro. A few questions. How will the course add on to existing service design experience?
So I need a little bit more on the existing service design experience. So you mean if you already a service designer, you're working in the industry? So I need to know a little bit more about it. So I can go with assumptions that this is what you mean.
Yes, working in the industry. They've
working in the industry. Yeah. So if you're working as we all know, service design is a new field and it's an evolving field. And I think I mentioned it during the presentation as well, that the staff team, the core staff team on the course is consist of world-known scholars, researchers, and practitioners. So we, in a way, the whole team bring in that experience within their pedagogical practice on the course. So which means that the opportunities that are open to you, of course, you're starting with the basics in the beginning of the units, but then the level all just kind of extends to the idea of bringing in projects which are so complex that you're pushed to think differently, you're pushed to use creative methods. Coming back to the creative methods, this also kind of depends on what your background is in service design. So service design doesn't necessarily means, especially as I work in the tech industry, I know a lot of people who work in the service industry, which is very different from the service design industry, because we, being an arts and design institution, we bring the idea of creativity, creative methods, and creative processes as being at the core of designing effective and sustainable services, which means that we do not take into account only what is apparent, but we also look at the tacit. And the students evolve during the course thinking about the obvious, the material, the tacit, the holistic, and at the same time, the overall local impact and the overall global impact. So to answer your question, I think if you were to ask me what is one thing or what are two things that the course can add on to an existing skill set of a service designer coming from the industry, is creative methodologies, creative processes, empathetic design, prototypes, and also mapping, scoping, materializing, prototyping, analyzing, and synthesizing the tacit. Tacit means something that's not tangible, visible, but has an impact on the service system. I hope this answers your question.
Fabulous, thank you so much. Will the course include strategic design and a bit of design management?
Well, automatically, because okay, so we don't per se have a design management unit, but students can take extra units in design management. Having said this, because we are all practitioners, so we do introduce design management skills and tools as you go along studying different units, because it's not possible to manage your time otherwise and manage the expectations of the course. It is a very rigorous and it is a very fast-paced course. I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to come in with this expectation because you're working with professional industry constantly. So this means it is a very fast-paced course. Having said this, we, the tutor team, the college, the MA, we provide complete support to the students, understanding what are the expectations of different units, how to address issues and challenges, and also how to manage resources, how to manage time, and how to manage teams. So that's part of the learning process. That's why I said, I think earlier, that we are not only focusing on specific only service design skill, but it's a holistic learning space. When you learn how to develop design projects in collaboration with partners, but also it's your own evolution as a service designer, and how do you manage this?
Amazing, thank you very much, Hannah. Are there any TA positions or jobs that can be taken on campus?
So there are opportunities that open up through ArtSTEM. ArtSTEM is an amazing service provided by University of the Arts students, where different you can say work opportunities are offered to the students. On the course per se, we do not have TA opportunities, but we do open up opportunities, paid opportunities for the students to work on funded projects that the staff works on, and also extracurricular projects, which are sometimes paid projects by our industry partners. So the students then get paid through ArtSTEM on those projects.
That's lovely, thank you very much. How much knowledge about service design should I have before attending the course? For example, is a bachelor degree in design plus a year of working okay?
Brilliant. Perfect. Send in the application.
Love it. Excellent. What would you say differentiates this master's from other service design masters like the one offered at RCA?
I love this question. I always love this question. We always get this question. So, but every year the answer is different because we have a very good relationship with RCA, MA Service Design. And it's a very good course. Having said this, we have our own ethos, and I think it's good. Difference is always good. We believe in that. So our ethos is, in a way, looking at complex projects which are situated or positioned within social innovation space, which doesn't mean that we do not do any kind of other kind of projects. But so for example, if we're working, just recently the students were working with Camden Council, with Divert, with Open Book. Those are the 5 different organizations that the students are working on for the user center project. And within that project, because it's so complex, there's so many stakeholders and so many different levels, the students had to develop 7 different design proposals, 7 different services for the project. And now the project is, because the work that came out, the proposals are really strong, so the partners wanted to take it forward, but the unit was finished. So now we've turned that into an extracurricular project. So students carry on with existing units, studying units, but at the same time, they can continue with the project proposals. So what this means is, coming back to your question, I still remember your question. What this means is, once you learn to handle this complexity, then you can do this straightforward projects like, banking system, or those systems, we call them straightforward projects, because you know what the pain points are, you know what needs to be done, and you're kind of looking at bits of technology here and there, you're able to impact it positively. With the complexity in the social innovation or socially orientated projects, you're doing organizational design, you're doing a social design, you're doing a corporate design, you're doing all different kinds of design you're being exposed to. So I think this focus, our focus, is slightly different in this respect. Number 2 is that our course is smaller. So what we do is, we are very protective about having a smaller course. So this is by design. We keep the numbers small because it's, for us, I'm not saying it's not for anyone else, I'm just talking about my course now, is that we want to have one-to-one interaction with the students. We want to have more contact time and more personalized, you can say, support for the students in a manner which kind of nurtures their ideas. So of course, as designers, we're working towards specific briefs, so we need to look at the client, or what does the partner want from the project. But at the same time, it's also about bringing your own ethos into the project, right? And for that, I think it becomes a very again, a complex space to how to navigate that, and how to kind of take the project forward. So that's for that specific reason, to be able to give that specific time, and also to be able to offer these kind of opportunities to most of our students, we try to keep the cohort small. So I think we are different in that way as well, that our cohort is much smaller. Again, the course's ethos is about more, again, about collaboration within the course, and also collaboration with external partners. So when we look at collaboration, we're looking at collaboration from a human-centric and more than human-centric perspective. And that kind of, again, comes back to the idea of more personalized and community-based, and building community and network kind of a space. So I think the course is in a way different from that perspective.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And very interesting. If we have taken courses related to service design, like human-centered systems thinking from IDEU, EOU, how will this MA program elevate our learning?
So IDEO, I'm very familiar with that program, because I think a few years back, I actually designed a unit for them, human-centered design. So it's like a crash course, isn't it? So you have a specific duration of weeks, and it's really nice. It's really, really good to kind of understand in a way. It's more like a prompt sensitization of, you know, kind of gauging your interest in that particular space. So again, it kind of gives you an overview and a quick experience of what it could be like. But again, when you're on an MA, which is an 18-month long MA, which means that you are going really in depth, you're really taking apart, unpicking, unpacking um, uh, an issue or a problem or a design brief from so many different perspectives, with so many different lenses. For example, you're looking at things from an economic perspective, you're looking at things from a political perspective, you're looking at things from a technological perspective, you're looking at the future, you're thinking about sustainability. So when you thinking about sustainability, it's not only material sustainability, but you're also thinking about strategic sustainability. So I'm doing this project now in time. Now with this technology, the way things are going, will this project be relevant in 5 years time? So you're future forecasting. So, you know, these are really in-depth ideas, learnings, and skills that you develop over time. It becomes part of your design process. It becomes normal. I'm going to give you a very, very, I think, unprofessional example. So even my spice cabinet, when I'm looking at my spice cabinet, I'm looking at what is effective and sustainable strategy to very quickly do my work. So what should be here? What should be there? What should be at an arm's distance? So again, what's sustainable for the partnerships? What's sustainable for the groups? So that's very in-depth. It's very complex. It needs time. And I think the kind of skills that you build, which becomes part of your natural design process and thinking, criticality and evaluation, that cannot be done in a short period of time. Even 1 year, we feel, is not that good to go in depth and explorations of these complex ideas that we work with.
Amazing, thank you. And we just have a few questions left. So what kind of past work experience is expected even by design background students for joining this MA?
Well, I think if you have work experience anywhere, that's good. Because when you have work experience, you develop these soft skills that you can talk about in your projects, in your CV, one, right? And then coming to design work, what kind of design background or work experience we expect? Like I put on the slide as well, even if you've not done any projects with industry, or you've not been employed by the industry and you've done on your own speculative projects, like, you know, you're interested in a problem and you've gone ahead and proactively engaged with that issue and you've developed something to impact that issue positively, that's also experience for us. So you've done this on your own, right? So we're good with any kind of work experience. If you've worked locally, you worked in a local shop, but you've applied your design ideas to that particular space, that's good for us. You worked in a multinational and you've been able to, you know, do teamwork and develop your design skills, or, you know, have been proactive with certain stuff, that's good enough for us. So again, think about the skills. The main idea is about what kind of skills do we need, what kind of skills are we looking for, and of course we will be teaching you skills as well, but at the same time we're looking for proactivity, independence, curiosity, criticality, empathy. So these are the kind of things that need to be demonstrated through different kind of work experiences as well.
Excellent, thank you. Still questions coming in, so just a quick reminder.
I'm loving the questions.
Yes, they're good, really good questions. I'm just aware of the time, so yeah, if you can get your questions in now, and then we'll probably just close them if that's okay. But if you do have any others after the session finishes, then as Hannah highlighted, please do feel free to email her and ask, or you can also ask the Open Days team, because we will be on inquiries as well. So another question for you while they're here. What if we can't keep up with the pace of the learning, and does this course provide space for failure?
a space for failure. I mean, we love failure at times. Okay, so this is a very complex question. So I cannot give a very simple answer to that in a yes or a no. So it's I think it's the understanding of failure. I would rather use the term, I mean, I think narrative has a very strong role to play in how we approach things. So I would not say failure. I would say not being successful this time. So again, the understanding of not being successful is something that we're very, very comfortable with. Because when you're working with complexity, there will be lots of not being successful as you go along. And that's amazing, because then it's telling you what not to do, how not to do it, or where not to go with your ideas. So everything we approach on this course, we approach everything as an insight that informs your design process or your personal journey. And we approach it very positively. That's one way of putting it. Now, another thing that's connected with this is the support. So again, we are a small course. We work very closely with the students, and I have to confess, we cry when the students graduate, because we have a very strong, you can say, collaborative and a very, very warm relationship as we go along on the course. It's not that we, in the studios, it's very rigorous, but at the same time, it's amazing to see this group or body of amazingly creative young people develop into these ethical and socially responsible and amazingly creative designers that then go out in the world and do their thing. So again, coming back to the idea of not being successful, I would, or again, I know my whole team, it's an amazing team. We all approach this as iteration. So once, if it doesn't work, you go back, you do something different, you come back again and test it and try it. It's not working. All right, it doesn't matter. More insight. Why is it not working? How can it work better? How can I make it work? Right? And then you go back, you think about it, and you come back to it again. And whilst this is happening, the whole team is supporting you with it. But it's not only the course team that will support. Ideally, and we see this on the course, is the peers, the groups, the students, they support each other. So it's a very good community-based course in a way, where we very I don't know how to put it, but we kind of are very protected of this dynamic of the course, that the dynamic of collaboration and support throughout the course. So we help build it as we go along. I hope this answers your question, though.
Amazing. Yeah, that was a wonderful answer and a really good question as well. How many students are in the course each year? And when working on team projects, how many people are there in each group?
Very good question. Okay. Oh my gosh, I want to see these people. So we have, usually the number we have is between 30 to 35. And this year we have a bigger cohort because we had an amazing, I mean, we get around, in the first round just now, we had around 500 applications, and now we're into the second round. So we get lots of applications. And we take a lot of time. So we take almost a year to kind of make the selection process, because again, we're not only looking at statements and CVs, we're also looking at portfolios. So it takes a long time. The selection process takes a long time. So the number is between 30 to 35. This year we have around 42 because we had amazing applications. So we could not make the choice, or we could not let them go. So it depends on the kind of application we're getting. But yes, usually we have between 30 to 35 students. The groups are usually 4 to 5 students. And if there's an odd student here, there due to an odd number, then 6 students max.
Lovely, fantastic. The master is based on project self-study and lectures, but to what extent is it pure learning by doing, and how much is it apply a framework, learn this specific set of best practices?
Uh, I think it's designed on the framework of best practices. The whole course is, because we all work in the areas of social. When I say we all, that means the tutor team works in the areas of ethics, social justice, narratives, democracy, etc., etc. Design for policy, design for sustainability, etc. So we kind of build. So we're very familiar with the framework of working practices, and the whole course is devised in responsive to the principles. Having said this, sorry, what was the first part of the question?
To what extent is it pure learning by doing?
Yeah, so I would say 80% it's learning by doing. So lots of research, but that's also core researching. Lots of mapping and scoping, which we call it co-mapping, which means you need to go out, you're assigned different spaces around London, you need to talk to people, you need to observe things, you need to digitally capture, sketch, draw, lift textures, whatever. So we use a lot of creative methods, making methods, to research, to scope, to develop, to deliver projects, lots of prototyping, lots of low fidelity prototyping before going into the final prototype. So it's, of course, it's a design studio. So you're doing a lot of learning by doing during the process. But it's not only in the studio that it's happening. It's happening all around the context of the project as well. So for example, now we have a recent project in Camden Council. So it's the Somers Town community. So students are working with them. So they go to their offices and they go to their spaces to work and interact with the participants on the project.
Amazing, thank you very much. Two more questions and then we will finish is that okay with you, Hannah? Lovely.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm having a great.
Okay. No problem, just checking in. Is it worth pursuing this course when you can learn the process on the go in a job? I'm a design graduate with 4+ years of experience in digital product design industry.
Okay, so I think for me, I think this is a question that you need to ask yourself. But for me, I think, again, it depends on what do you expect from the course. So what do you want to learn? What is your ambition? Where do you want to go with what you already know? I think it depends a lot on your future ambition. Where do you see yourself in the future? Or why would you want to do this MA? What is missing? So for example, we have someone who worked in the industry for 8 years, and now he's back in Singapore, and he was working I think he was working in industrial design, and he wanted to go into the services area, and he came to us. And again, it's a completely different space. So you're acquiring a new skill set, you're acquiring a new way of doing things, and not only approaching, thinking, your process becomes different. How you position yourself in the design world becomes different. What your expectations from what you want to acquire in the future in terms of your professional practice, in terms of your personal growth, in terms of your impact on the world around you. It all needs to respond to where you want to be in the future. So I would say, if I were in your place, I would ask myself this question, that why would I do this MA? And where do I see myself in the future, where this MA will help me, go? So I think, yeah, so I think that's my answer for you, actually. I hope it helps. We can have a conversation around this if you'd like to have a chat at some point later.
Fantastic. And the last question, and a nice question to end on as well. I would love to know more about the cultural diversity in participating in this MA.
Okay. So I mean, this is London. So I think that's what I love about London. It's one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. So we do get people from around the world. If you go on our course page, you will see a map there. We share a map there where I am from. We are also sending out our course newsletter tomorrow morning. So if you like to be, any of you would like to be on the newsletter, please leave your email here and I will add you to the list, and then you can look at where we are, where the students are from and what's happening on the MA. I don't think so we have the map on this newsletter, but we have the map on the website. But we have students from the States, we have students from South America, and these are continents, so I'm not going into specific countries. Like from Colombia, we have students from Chile, you know. We used to have a lot more students from EU. We still have 4 students from EU, but the number has gone down drastically after Brexit. We have students from India, we have students from East Asia, and we have students from East Europe as well. But again, the numbers from the European side has deteriorated a little bit. It's gone down a little bit due to Brexit. But it's a very diverse course, yeah.
Lovely, thank you, and thank you everyone also for sending these email addresses in. I will pass them on to Henna. Otherwise, thank you very much for your expertise, and also everyone for attending, for some really fantastic questions. This was a really enjoyable session to watch, and yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, all of you. Bye.
Bye-bye.